Welcome to another episode of Q Weekly, ladies and gentlemen. I am Stevie. Welcome. Tonight, Brett is going to be speaking to the Positive Women's Support Group. He's also speaking to Gary and Esther from the Gay Lesbian Archives. First of all, though, we have Vic with Dr. Beng Yu for our Q Health segment, speaking about mental health and depression. Take it away, Vic.
Hi, I'm Vic Perry and welcome to another edition of Q Health. And as usual, we have our resident Dr. Beng Yu. Welcome, Beng.
Thanks, Vic.
Tonight we're going to sort of very briefly cover mental health, and it's something we did mention in the first or second Q Health edition. Why is it becoming more important, and particularly why in the queer community?
I think things like depression are often very hidden. I think the community in general is realising now that there is a lot of depression about, but it's not talked about and it's not identified very often. And I think in the queer community, there have been lots of studies showing that depression is much more prevalent in the queer community as well. I think a lot of the issues is about coming out for the queer community, coming out and accepting themselves and being rejected by the general community. All that contributes to people feeling depressed or just feeling having a lower self-esteem about themselves. So I think that accounts for a lot of why the queer community has more depression in it, I think. And I'm not sure what you think, because you've had quite a experience probably in the community as well.
Well, I think a lot of people, when they talk about internalised homophobia, for instance, it seems to be something that people blame themselves for, and we know that it's really all about the rejection and the non-acceptance from the environment, whether it be family, friends, workplace, or society in general, that's really the cause of internalised homophobia. It's not something that develops within you on its own, is it? So I suppose it's curable, isn't it? So
exactly.
If the world was a place where being gay, bisexual, lesbian, transgender, or anything, if it was totally accepted, it wouldn't be such a big problem, would it?
Exactly, it makes a big difference. And for example, like youth suicides, I think sexuality is a significant issue and overrepresented in youth suicide. So it's something that I think we all need to be aware of and try and identify and help people through if we think they're in trouble. The
best thing that people can do is support.
Yes, that's right. I think
so. We've heard of figures, for instance, particularly in youth suicide. What sort of figure is touted as being a percentage of youth suicide being attributed to sexuality? I mean, they talk.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the actual figures. I don't know if it's broken down that precisely. Really, I don't know if someone's giving you a percentage compared to normal population, but. Everything I've read says that's overrepresented in youth suicide anyway.
But there's bound to be a number
that
attributed to kids dealing with their sexuality.
That's right, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. Now, what about association with drug use? I mean, the sort of psychosis. Well, actually, I mentioned the word psychosis. What does psychosis mean?
It's a bit hard to describe, I suppose. I suppose psychosis for most people is just being a bit mad. People who have ideas that aren't real, people who could be paranoid, people who are hearing voices, even all that sort of stuff. And in a general term, I suppose that's psychosis. And it's sort of, I suppose, in some ways, a serious mental illness, and it's one that's more visible because people behave quite differently and quite sort of in an abnormal way. I think drug use and depression and psychosis are definitely related. Again, lots of studies showing that use of recreational drugs, can lead to depression in the short term when people are coming down from drugs, and in long term too. There's some studies that indicate that probably, for example, ecstasy use can be attributed with depression later on in life as well. So
there could be a period of time between a person stopping the use of the drug,
yes,
perhaps years,
yes,
and then all of a sudden develop symptoms?
Yes,
Yep.
that's possible. I don't think there are a lot of clear studies, but I think there's certainly some indications that might happen later on, especially someone who uses it a lot. And because the recreational drugs play around with the chemicals in the brain, that later on they're much more prone to depression, and they can be also harder to treat later on. And certainly with amphetamine drugs like crystal and stuff, there's certainly what we call psychosis associated with people who are using a lot of amphetamines or speed, and people can get quite sick with it. And I think we've all seen people get into trouble with that too.
Do you see, I mean, there seems to be an incredible amount of controversy now about crystal meth. Do you see it as big a problem as it seems to be, and is it something that's going to be affecting people in the future? For instance, we just mentioned if someone's is taking a lot, and if they're sort of at the younger years, but then they stop, are we going to see in 10, 20, maybe 30 years' time an explosion or a great increase of people in their later years having problems that would be attributed to past drug use?
It's a very good question. I think most people expect there will be some consequence of heavy drug use, but I think no one knows how much someone has to use before it becomes harmful in the long term. So I don't really know. I expect we would to some extent. And I think a lot of the recreational drug use has really been much bigger probably from the 80s onwards. So we haven't had enough time to really see like 30 years down the track whether it's significant or not. And I suppose for the people using now, there's no way of finding out. We have to wait and see.
What other mental health issues? I mean, we mentioned depression. What other major
I think
issues?
the thing is, I mean, obviously the queer community are as susceptible to other mental health problems as well, anxiety disorders, bipolar disorders, everything else, schizophrenia as well. So it's something we just need to look after ourselves about, I think, and need to get help for ourselves or people we know who have mental health problems, who might need to access mental health care either from doctors or counsellors.
So if people wanted, where could people get access services or support then?
I think they should probably either ring up a counselling service like one provided by the Victorian AIDS Council, or if they have a clinic they're familiar with, they should ask maybe their doctor about it.
All right, that's all we have for tonight's Q Health. If you want more information on tonight's issue or anything we've covered in the past, or if you want to hear more about a topic we haven't covered yet, just email us here or call us at Ben TV. I'm Vic Perry and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to Vic and Bang for that. And now it's off to Brett, who interviewed Gary and Esther from the Gay Lesbian Archives. Let's have a look.
Hi, now with me I have Gary and Esther from the Gay and Lesbian Archives. Hi, how are you?
G'day, Brett.
G'day. Now, a lot of people don't know about the archives. When did it start?
1978 was at a National Homosexual Conference, only a month or two after the first Mardi Gras, and Graham Carberry, who was the founder, had already been collecting a bit privately, put a motion up for an archive to be established, and the conference agreed to endorse that, and it lived with Graham for a fair bit of its first 20 years, also for a spell in Christ Community Church in West Melbourne for about 6 or 7 years, and since 1996 it's been housed here in the basement of the VAC.
Okay, and this is only a small collection. What sort of materials do you have here?
We've got a pretty big range of everything you could think to collect, from t-shirts, badges, personal papers. Probably the centrepiece of our collection is the periodicals, so pretty good collections of Australian gay magazines and newspapers going back to the 70s.
Okay.
And pretty complete sets of a lot of those.
Okay. How far back does the material go? Like you mentioned the 70s. Do you have any prize pieces from like the 1920s or 30s?
Yes, we have a few. There's a scrapbook of Monty Punchen, who was a lesbian who died 1989 at the age of 107, and Monty had come out at the age of 102, and friends of Monty's donated that scrapbook to us after Monty's death, and it captures Monty's interests in like daily news and events from the 20s.
Okay.
We also have a poetry book from around 1920, handwritten, dedicated to his male lover, sent
Okay.
from London, but it's clear from the pronouns that it's to a man in Australia, who we've attempted to trace, but without success.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're two of the older items.
Okay. These sort of archives, how important do you think they are for the community?
Well, I suppose they're our community memory, in a sense. When the archives started, the gay movement in Australia was at a bit of a low ebb, and we thought it was important to preserve what little had gone before, because the movement was only about 7 or 8 years old at that point, and it's grown obviously enormously since then. Post 78, it's just gone on in leaps and bounds.
Okay. Now, are there any materials that you need to get?
Well, we've been really keen to get pre-gay lib material, and that's been the base of our oral history collecting, interviewing people who've got memories of the era before much was recorded. So that's a real gap.
Okay. Now, if somebody is wanting to do some research on gay history, are they able to come to the archives and look through the materials?
Yep, certainly. I mean, that's one of the major aims of the archives, to support people doing research. So it's just a matter of getting in contact with us and making a time to come along.
Okay, yeah. You also have working bees, don't you?
We do.
And we have one coming up on Sunday the 29th.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
What is involved in the working bees?
Well, the working bees are held last Sunday of the month from about 1 p.m. onwards at the AIDS Council, and the intention there is to give people an opportunity to do a bit of sustained work on things, whether it be listing, sorting, or whatever. Archives work perhaps is not for everybody, but for those who do have that interest, that's an opportunity for them to find out what's going on, meet other people who are doing it, and then decide whether or not it's their bag.
Okay, yeah. It sounds great. You have a vast collection of materials here, and in this room there's only a small portion of it. Seems like you need an actual museum to house everything.
Would be great.
How can people contact you in relation to getting involved with the archives?
Email algarchives@hotmail.com is our email, or the postal address, or just drop by on one of those Sunday afternoons. Probably best if people contact us before the working bees, so that we can get an idea of what their interests are and take it from there.
Yep. And also, if people want to donate some things, they're quite able to.
Absolutely, yes.
Great. Okay, thank you, Esther. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks very much, Brett, and stay right there. We're about to take a very short break, and we're going to be back with Brett, who speaks to the Positive Women's Support Group, and also the effervescent Miss Elizabeth Blast. Stay there. Welcome back to Q Weekly. I am Stevie. Thanks very much for staying with us. Now we're about to cross over to Brett, who spoke to the Positive Women's Support Group. Take it away, Brett.
I'm at Fairfield House in Paran, and I'm talking to Karen from Positive Women. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Now, if people don't know what Positive Women are, can you please explain to the people out in the community what they are and what they do?
We're a support and advocacy group for HIV positive women and their families. We support women who are HIV positive, but we also, because a lot of women do have children or partners, we also try and support the surrounding system for them, their support system. We also we have a range of services, I suppose, that we provide. Everything from if a woman is in crisis to housing, we can refer them on to counselling. Excuse me, but we generally seem to be the first port of call after someone is diagnosed. A lot of the time a woman just wants to see, or a person who gets diagnosed, even in this day and age, needs to see that there's a living person, that someone is surviving and that you can live a normal life. So what I try to do is hook people up with other positive women. So it's like it's a peer support.
Okay.
That's how we began, and that's probably the most important focus for positive women, as well as education and prevention, which are very important.
Now, what is the difference between like a support group like this for women as opposed to support groups for men? Are there any sort of major differences that each sex needs?
I think so, definitely. It's a lot to do with the medications as well. I think HIV responds to an individual individually. So you can have the same virus, but it will treat you completely differently. Women, they also take on they choose a lot of women choose to do natural therapies to begin with, which is different from most men. They also have, as I said, they have children. They are the main support system for their family, so they have different needs. They need to be listened to in a different way, and they need to find different solutions, I suppose, for their diagnosis and for living a healthy life. Also, what was I going to... I forgot what I was going to say. There's medications, definitely the way it responds to the body. I don't know how much your viewers know about lipodystrophy and lipoatrophy, which are really, hard things to live with once. Or not only are you dealing with a almost potentially life-destroying illness, but then you're taking very, very toxic drugs. And I know that both men and women would have body issues, but I think for females it's a different, you need to feel supported, and you need to be able
more personal, more emotional.
Yeah, I don't know if it is, but I guess it's, you need to, a lot of women feel uncomfortable talking about their bodies in front of men, so they need their own space. So
you also provide like funding and things like that, don't you? And also, like, what about childcare? Because a lot of women would have children.
Childcare is something that we can offer, but we it's not something that we focus on. What we do focus on is funding for what we call capacity building. So if a woman wants to do a course, we have a certain amount of money that she can tap into. So if she wants to get back into the workforce, or something that's going to more fulfill her life, or bring her on to further better work or just better living standards, then we can provide. It's a small amount of money, but it does count, I would say. We also, last year, we had a complementary therapies fund. It was a one-off, but it was very beneficial to those who used it. We have food vouchers where we have, through various fundings, we had a fantastic opportunity where a group did an art exhibition, and from that money raised, that went into our food voucher fund, and that's been able to we can give women 6 food vouchers throughout the year, and that's handy. It's very handy, because of the illness, a lot of women, I suppose, they are, or a lot of people are living below the poverty line. So
they feel sort of housebound and unsure whether they can actually step out into the community.
It's still a very confronting diagnosis, and although now when people are diagnosed, it's more of people saying that it's like diabetes, it's a lifelong illness, it's a chronic illness. But as I said, because the virus reacts so differently in different people, it's still...
The support that you give the people out there isn't just a one-off, it's lifelong. Yeah, definitely. We have members who've been with the organisation since its conception, so, that's 1988. Wow, Now also you have activities like events that you go out, and that's really good for support building. Then you just come back from a retreat. Where did you go, and what sort of benefits do those sort of activities have for people?
We went to up to Healesville. We had 2 female facilitators who have organised sort of relaxing and massage and meditation and free time. It was the place that they use as a Buddhist retreat. In the beginning, when Positive Women first began, there were retreats on a regular basis. It's sort of petered off and come back and petered off, but the one thing that women always ask for is for a retreat. It's a time to get together, to get that essential peer support.
Now, how can people contact you?
I can be contacted, or anyone at the office can be contacted on 03 9276 6918, or via email directly to me is support@positivewomen.org.au, and it's all one word lowercase.
Right.
So yeah, that would be the best way to contact us.
Okay. Thanks, Karen, and all the best for the continuing support of the community.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, Brett. And now it's time for Q Calendar with the effervescent Miss Elizabeth Blast. Lizzie, show us your map of Melbourne. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Stevie. How are you?
Great, swell.
Welcome to Q Calendar. This is what's happening around town around about now. Now, a chappie called Jason Rom, who's doing a degree in Master in Psychology and Counselling at Monash University, is looking for gay men or gay male couples 18 years and older who are currently involved in an open relationship. Now, have you had an open relationship before?
No, but I've been out with guys who seem to act like it was.
All right. He's wanting you to participate in a study which is audio taped, and it's semi-structured in a sort of interview style. It takes about 60 minutes, and the current study will seek to explore why sexual jealousy may be absent in gay male open relationships, and or how sexual jealousy, if present, is managed and reduced in these relationships. It's kind of an interesting topic, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if you'd like to be a part of that, you could go to JWROM1. Just call BNTV, we'll give you that information at student.monash.edu if you want to be a part of that survey. I think it'd be kind of fascinating, actually.
Good.
In lovely Fitzroy, over here, Planet Positive is having an evening for positive people and their friends. It's this coming Wednesday, 18th of May, 7:30 till late at the Vibe Cafe Bar, 123 Smith Street, Fitzroy. No cover charge, light catering, first drink free. And you're going to go to planetpositive@optusnet.com.au for more information, but get on down to the Vibe Cafe. South Yarra, over there, South Yarra, prospective lesbian parents, next meeting this coming Thursday, the 19th of May, 7 to 9 p.m. at the VAC, 6 Claremont Street, South Yarra, and they have a special guest who is Lena Clerk, who's a midwife and childbirth educator for over 20 years.
God.
It's a long time. Speaking about the importance of preparing for childbirth.
That's a lot of bubbies brought into the world.
Yeah. In Chad's lovely chatty, all lesbians are welcome to join in the fun at the Lynx Car Rally fundraiser. This is next Sunday, the 29th of May at Amaroo Community House, Amaroo Street in Chadstone. Get in early for a 10 a.m. start. Cost is $10. BYO your barbecue, family and the dogs, or the kids. Call Wendy on 0427 631 803 or Diane on 0425 710 780. Lynx Car Rally. The Orso Foundation are pleased to announce a fundraising screening of the new Star Wars movie, Star Wars 3, Revenge of the Sith. What the hell is a Sith?
A Sith is an evil Jedi thing, don't you know anything?
Something. Okay. The film will screen at the Palace Dendy Cinemas, 26 Church Street in Brighton. The tickets are $15 each and can only be booked through the Orso office or on 9827 4999 or email members@orso.org.au before tomorrow evening. So get in quick for that. Fundraiser for Orso Foundation. Albert Park here. Never done this before. I'm doing a bit of a sporty thing.
Oh.
Now, water polo. We have a water polo team. Did you know that? The G Sharks.
I've seen them.
And they're playing the Essendon Reds this coming Thursday, the 19th, at 8:45 p.m. at the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre, which is MSAC. Is that how you say it? MSAC? You can talk, you know. Yes. Not a library. Yes. Okay. And that's Alty Drive, Albert Park. Alty Drive, Albert Park. And the Glamourhead Sharks also, which is another fantastic queer sporting group, swimmers, they're having the Victorian State Aussie Masters Relay Championship. And that's Saturday the 21st of May at 9 a.m. at the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre. Have you been there? It's fantastic. hive of activity. That's all I have, young Stephen, and all you punters out there. I'll be back next week. Don't forget to email me if you'd like me to give you a shout out at feedback@bentv.org.au, because you never know, they just might be watching.
You got stacks going on, haven't you, this week?
There's always stacks going on.
There's stacks.
I'm a woman in the know. I am.
Thank you very mumuch, Lizzie. That was Elizabeth Blast with Q Calendar for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Now, please remember to stay tuned this Thursday at 10:30 for Face to Face. I'm Stevie. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you again in the very near future. Thank you. Good night.